Homelander. The Superman-styled antagonist from The Boys TV show might just be the best villain in recent memory. Which is impressive considering that he really is little more than yet another tired old evil Superman trope. But what sets Homelander aside from the 7 dozen other evil Supermen is that he understands something they do not. Namely, that it is all about the balance. For you see, the problem with an evil Superman story is that the moment Superman actually turns evil, the story's over. Finito, Cheeto, Dunzo, dead and gone. Because after that, there is no Superman. Just another supervillain with glowy eyes, soon to be ignobly defeated by the heroes, employing some MacGuffin to conveniently forget all about his power level the moment he switches sides. And hey, The Boys is most definitely guilty of that sin as well, but let me expand on the no longer evil Superman thing for a moment, because of course you can have some fun with the trope even if it is no longer really evil Superman. For example, you could do the Injustice style Superman. Broken by personal loss, he resolves to do anything in his near immeasurable power to ensure such a tragedy never happens again, even if that means establishing an oppressive tyranny. It's a good way to show that anything taken to the extreme will invariably turn bad, even such a seemingly innocent thing as to just want to save everyone. Or you can go the Omni-Man route, the god amongst men. A Superman so detached from humanity that he sees them at best as adorable, retarded little pet things, and at worst, he doesn't see them at all. Killing a human to Omni-Man is like stepping on an insect you didn't even know was there. It is an action of zero moral consequence to him, which again misses one of the best points of the evil Superman trope, namely Superman, the embodiment of schoolboy morality turning evil, and the psychology behind it. Alternatively, you could say, screw all of that and also go straight up pure evil a la Brightburn. But whilst that may make for an interesting horror aspect, in reality, you again don't really have Superman, you have a supervillain with glowing eyes. But Homelander, oh, he does it all so much better, sometimes at least, as Anthony Starr's excellent performance is often hampered by the writers, something we will touch on later. But at his best, Homelander is a truly excellent villain, and not because he's strong or fast or has laser eyes. The Boys is chock full of superpowers. Everyone is super strong, and speedsters are a dime a dozen. There's a bloody waiting list to get them into the 7. And A-Train has a full-time job traveling around racing them. And as for the glowy peepers, well, even Billy Butcher gets those after shooting up some green heroin. No. What makes Homelander a good villain is because he is a walking nuclear holocaust held in check by a wet piece of paper. And that single thin sheet is not his Bible. It's not a set of morals or beliefs or values. It's adoration. It's the cheer of the crowd and the approval of a million faceless nobodies that Homelander wouldn't even deign to piss on were they on fire. It is pure, self-absorbed narcissism that keeps him from wiping out humanity because he got up on the wrong side of the bed one morning. And that is what makes him scary, what lends him a frightening and unnerving aspect on screen, for he is both completely unpredictable, to the point that whenever he is on screen with another character, the threat of violence is always there, no matter who he is with. In the season finale of the first season, for example, he burns Madeline's eyes out and melts her brain in her skull. This is a character who has been with Homelander since the beginning. The show doesn't show us this, but she was the one who made Homelander what he is today. He's had a weird crush on her and a fixation for the whole season, and the only mercy that he shows her is killing her kinda quickly. As quickly as he knows how, by boiling her brains. And make no mistake, that was a mercy as far as Homelander is concerned. And yet, for all of his unpredictability, that isn't even the real piece de resistance, because unpredictability in and of itself, whilst unnerving, wears thin over time, particularly in a TV show like The Boys, where, well, the boys have plot armor a million miles thick, which keeps them perfectly safe even as they are fighting someone who could kill them in a nanosecond and not even notice it. And make no mistake either, it isn't just the violence that makes him scary either. It isn't the unpredictable nature of just suddenly killing someone, because everyone in The Boys is a mass murdering psychopath. Even the beautiful Starlight cracks an innocent civilian's skull open on the pavement because he dared defend himself against the two incredibly suspicious people trying to steal his car in the middle of nowhere. She doesn't even call an ambulance for him. In fact, her only reaction is, "Once I might have cried for him." Yeah, but no, it isn't that either, for you see, Homelander is also completely predictable, to the point that our heroes, heavy quotation marks once more implied, blackmail him for months with the threat of releasing a video showing him abandoning a plane full of people as it crashes. And this keeps Homelander in check not because he cared about those people, because he views it as a failure, or because he was ashamed. No, it's because it might tank his ratings. As the only value of a human life Homelander has ever known or been taught is its ability to press the like button on a YouTube video, or to exist as a part of a viewership statistic. The individual, the human, is worthless to Homelander. They are air to him. He humors their presence, only so as to do better with the grouping, the collective, which is all he sees. White man falling from a building is not a human in need to him. It's not a unique individual about to die due to a horrible, tragic accident. No, it's a half-point approval bump in the Midwest. Bringing on A-Train into the Seven is not inclusion of the fastest man on Earth as a fellow superhero ally. It's a diversity hire for the African-American base. Hell, the Deep even refers to himself as a diversity hire for his focus on ocean pollution. It is this view of the collective rather than the individual that makes him so unnerving, because he views everyone else as just a likability score on two legs. That is what makes him so ruthlessly cold. When the mayor of Boston threatens his boss, Madeline, with revealing Compound V, the super serum that makes the soups super, Homelander has zero problems shooting down his private jet with the mayor's son on board. Hell, Homelander even waves to him before he does it. And bear in mind too, this is despite the fact that Madeline had already solved the issue by striking a deal with the mayor. He wasn't going to reveal anything about V because it would make him just as complicit as anybody else. But when something threatens Homelander's ratings, there is no telling what he will do. And this is his leash, or was, which we'll get to in a bit, because another good part about Homelander is that it never had to be this way. Like with all good, evil Supermen, he, Homelander is not intrinsically evil. He wasn't born this way, he is a product of his environment. He was raised as a test tube baby by a team of scientists, wanting to make him into a product, specifically to make him into the strongest man alive. And yet he had no good guiding parental figures. He had no mother to teach him compassion, and he had no father to teach him restraint, when and when not to use his powers. Now this is a bigger point in the show as a whole, as everyone has a shitty father. The writers hate fathers. On the one hand, the only thing that can keep Ryan, Homelander's son, from turning into a psychotic murderer just like Daddy is his mummy, and nobody else could possibly do it. Mothers are pure and perfect, and if you raise children without their mothers, they always become more violent, says Homelander's creator, whereas in reality, of course, children, particularly boys raised by single mothers, have a much greater chance of turning into violent criminals. Why? Well, the reasons for that is complex. Economic stability is surely one of them, as the father tends to be the breadwinner. But even more so than that is the simple fact that as young boys grow, they very quickly become physically stronger than their mothers, at which point it becomes very difficult for a single mother to rein in the child. And it is a natural instinct of a young, growing boy to test his limits. Homelander never had a father figure. He never had someone capable of grabbing him by the neck and saying, "No, don't do that." But we're deviating slightly from the topic, as again in the show, everyone has a bad dad. Soldier Boy had a terrible dad. Billy Butcher had a terrible dad. Homelander didn't have a dad. Hell, one of the few dads that are presented in at least a semi-sympathetic light is Huey's father, who is a weak man who at least managed to stick by Huey after his mother dies. Or Mother Milk, who is one of the better and nicer characters, but still a man willing to punch the shit out of his wife's new boyfriend because he can't be bothered to make the argument. Actually, thinking about it, I'm pretty sure Maeve's father too is not a good dad and gambled away her earnings as a young talent idol. Starlight's father upright ditched her and wandered away. Yes, the show has a bit of a problem with fathers, and this is also reflected in Homelander's psyche. Homelander wants a family, desperately, he needs it. When he discovers Ryan, it is a blessing to him, and he will do anything to keep a hold of him. But at the same time, you see his failings. You see the way he was raised and his own narcissism again pushed to the fore. Remember, Homelander was raised as a test tube baby, without love, without parental guidance, as a simple product. He was so traumatized by this experience, he created for himself an alter ego, an alternate personality to reinforce his sense of self, so as to not break down. The problem was that this sense of self, created specifically to build Homelander up and stop him from crumbling, would feed into his rampant narcissism as he grew into an adult, to the point where now he cannot abide any failure in those around him. Nothing. He rips Black Noir's spine out for the high crime of having lied to him. Even Ryan, probably the person he loves the most in the entire world, he treats very harshly. He's disappointed by the fact that Ryan hasn't learned to fly yet, so he tosses him off a roof. Now sure, he knows that he is his son. He knows he's not going to be damaged by that, or be injured or killed or anything, but still, even if you were told that your son would take no damage from being flung off a roof, very few people would test that hypothesis, and certainly not as callously and nonchalantly as a Homelander did. But to finally return back to the original outcropping of this little side step here, Homelander, again, never intended to have any kind of antagonistic relationship with humanity. His origin story shows he had every intention to be the hero, the good guy, the shining beacon of hope. But none of the training, none of the preparation. He was raised as a product, a glamorous icon, something to sell movie tickets. They never taught him how to save a falling woman without snapping her neck from the sudden change in velocity. They never trained him to disarm someone without maiming them with his super strength or laser vision. And most importantly, they never taught him why he should save someone beyond it looking good in the newspapers. The only value of a human life, once again, that they imparted onto him was that of a social media click. Small wonder he turned out a bit rotten. And, of course, this spiral continues and gets worse and worse and worse. Well helped along, I might add, by the efforts of the show's heroes. I mentioned briefly a little while ago that the love of the crowd, the focus groups, the adoring masses were Homelander's shackles. They were his collar, the thing that kept him in check, the thing that prevented him from scything down a horde of anti-Homelander protesters on a whim, the thin piece of paper holding back the nuclear holocaust. Well, the heroes have been doing everything in their power to drip more water onto that thin, fraying piece of paper. Because here's the thing, Homelander, for all of his power, is a damaged individual with a deeply fucked up upbringing, and the powers of a god. He is, in his own way, delicate, conflicted, and complex, and yet Billy and the boys just can't stop poking him. Especially in Season 3, it becomes very apparent, where they start with often showing Homelander with his head ringing. That feeling you get when you're super stressed out, or something awful is happening, when all you can hear is that buzzing sound, when the blood leaves your extremities and you feel numb and cold. As Homelander is trapped within the Seven, which he, at some point, thought of it almost as his opportunity to create a family of people that he could trust and build relationships with. The tides have turned now, however, and Starlight is in control, having been made co-captain with Homelander as Vort's owner favors her over him. It has turned Homelander's home into a cage. And again, the boys keep pushing him. They keep pushing for more concessions. They keep poking and prodding at him, not doing anything to calm him down a little bit. They can't give him anything. They can't give him any rest. And here you could certainly argue that they have no reason to. He is a villain to them just like they are to him, but that is the key point. From Homelander's point of view, these are the people who killed the only woman he's really been able to be himself around, Stormfront, which incidentally, may I do a quick little side tangent there as well? Homefront, the social media personality who's speaking the plain-faced truth, who's also a secret Nazi. Of course, well, we're told she is at least, and hey, she does randomly kill black people for apparently no goddamn reason, though she never pushes much in the way of Nazi ideology. She mentions the Great Replacement theory at one point, but hey, that's mainstream media news now. And the closest she ever comes to dropping an actual racial slur is, "You black piece of shit." It comes across as a bit shallow and plasticky. Oh, here you have a monster, an ancient Nazi from the literal Second World War who will kill people with no problems whatsoever, just slaughtering them just for their skin color. But she doesn't have the balls to drop the N-bomb. You know, there's some limits here after all. It's just so dumb. And also, when Homelander uses his laser eyes on her, it just turns her on. That's all. It makes her wet. Whereas when Ryan zaps her to save Mummy, she's instantaneously, completely and utterly mutilated with all the limbs chopped off. This is one of the problems with the show, by the way. It just cannot settle on a power level for Homelander at all. In reality, Homelander is in a completely different league from any of the other characters. In the show, he one-shots Maeve and knocks her out and imprisons her. In the comic, he punches her head off with a single blow. But in the TV show, well, she works out for a few days and suddenly she can not only go toe-to-toe with Homelander, she can make him bleed. Then again, she was clearly huffing something very special at the time, since she also falls from the top of the 7th tower after having her power taken away by Soldier Boy's boomfy thingy, and then landing on the ground perfectly fine. Maeve should have been dead about 7 times during that scene, but oh well, details. Side tangent aside, here's the interesting thing. As the boys continue to push him and think, we must kill him, never considering how to actually coexist with him, as Homelander has been behaving remarkably well up until this point after being held in check with the video blackmail. He's been behaving as he was supposed to. He has been kept in line. He has done as ordered. And he probably would have continued to do so if they would just pet him with the fucking hairs on occasion. But no, they must keep poking. Until eventually, when he gets a little bit out of line again, Starlight threatens him. We will release the video, Homelander. What about that? You must do as I tell you to do, because I'm the main character now. He just smiles. Genuinely gleefully, as he describes how he would bring America to its knees in a day, how he would wipe New York off the map for shits and giggles, how he would then fly to Maeve's home city and burn it too, just because. And why? Well, after having been poked and prodded and traumatized all over again, bearing in mind this is a test tube baby raised in a lab who now feels trapped in the only place he's called home, he's finally decided that, okay, I'd prefer to be loved, but I'm becoming more and more okay with being feared too. And that is where they need to keep going with Homelander to keep him interesting, because he is getting worn a little bit threadbare over the course of these 3 last seasons, in large part due to the show's constant need to demean him, to emasculate him, and to make the main bad guy, the main threat to the heroes and their objectives, less and less dangerous. I don't know if I have to say this, but this is a really bad way to make sure that there's tension in your TV show. But at the end of season 3, there is a scene which is both really stupid and really cool at the same time, where Homelander is bringing Ryan to see his supporters, to bask in their adoration, to show his son, yeah, your dad's a big man, okay? You'll love this, it's awesome. And some random bystander throws a styrofoam cup at Ryan. Now, I remind you, Homelander is obsessed with the idea of family. He is ridiculously overprotective of Ryan, as he is his only family now. And yet he doesn't catch the cup. He doesn't bat it away, use his speed or his laser eyes or anything to stop it. He just lets it hit him. Now, you could argue that Homelander might not have been fast enough, or might not have been able to react quickly enough, etc. Maybe he was at ease. And the problem is, his power levels are so all over the charts at this point that you couldn't make an argument one way or the other. On at least 2 occasions, he has displayed speed that rivals, if not surpasses, that of A-Train. And considering A-Train is scared shitless of Homelander, you better believe Homelander could catch him if he really tried. Yet, Styrofoam Cup, oh no, that's basically his kryptonite. And then Homelander, having seen this, lasers the dude who throws its head off in front of all of his supporters. This too illustrates how much he cares about Ryan. When Homelander was being verbally abused and was being yelled at in Season 2, he fought down the urge to laser the crowd. He didn't hear. He snapped because it was Ryan, his family, that was attacked. And for a moment, oh shit, this is it. He's no longer Superman. He is just evil Superman. His ratings will tank, and then somebody cheers. Somebody claps because it was their political opposition, the people on the other side, that got hurt. Now I would argue that the show has flipped the political spectrum here just a tad, but hey, details and all that, because this is a scene that was actually set up previously. Why does he cheer? Well, the guy who cheers is the new boyfriend of Mother's Milk's ex-wife, who beat the shit out of previously because he couldn't convince him that Homelander was a bad guy. And to most people, Homelander is not a bad guy. That's one of the problems as well. There is a weird exchange in there where is saying like, oh hey, don't you watch the news? Homelander's a totally bad guy, and he retorts, oh, if you watch alternative news, you'll see he isn't actually all that bad, when the show itself, The Boys, has gone out of its way to demonstrate that the mainstream media is basically on Vort's side. In fact, Vort is the media. And even when The Boys managed to break a genuine scandal, it barely does anything at all. Like, it creates a handful of baby ripples at most, because the media, they'll report on it, allegedly, and then they'll move on to the next scandal as if it was nothing. It feels like just another way to force in a cheap political point there, but the setup is the good part, because Mother's Milk is a vastly more physically imposing man than the wife's boyfriend, so he easily punches him the hell out in a moment of rage and anger. Imagine being that guy. You are assaulted for what you believe. You haven't been debated against, he hasn't debunked you, he hasn't explained why he feels this way, he's just punched your shit in, and you can't do a damn thing about it because he's twice your weight. Your only possibility is to argue against him to win the debate, but if he just punches your lights out when he loses anyways, fat load of good that's gonna do you. And so seeing a bigger bully in Homelander on your side doing what you felt had been done to you right back at the opposition, well, frankly, it would be weirdly inhuman to not cheer. And from Homelander's point of view, well, he just learned a very interesting lesson, didn't he? He doesn't have to choose between being loved or feared. He can be both. And if the showrunners managed to approached that with a degree of subtlety and managed to keep Homelander as the evil Superman rather than just the villain, Season 4 might be quite the banger, though it's equally easy to imagine that they would now simply just turn him evil and have the boys manage to defeat him through some mystifical MacGuffin-y nonsense. We'll have to wait and see, but nevertheless, that is the reason why Homelander is such an awesome hero, and a bit of complaining about the show as well on the side. I'm half tempted to do another one of these called Vort is a Leftist Company, because by God are they as well, and it would be a bit of a deviation from Homelander, but we'll see. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.